Good morning นะครับ everyone. We are going to talk about our Microsoft Power BI นะครับ that we have to know about the data visualization. Okay, right. So everyone have please start your Microsoft Power BI นะครับ so that we can just like talk about it. So for myself, if we want to go to Power BI, we just click on the search button and then just type Power BI นะครับ This one, the Microsoft Power BI Desktop, is a software that we have to use. Okay. So in order to start Microsoft Power BI, it takes just like a bit longer than your Excel นะครับ All right. Okay. Let me explain to you what is how do we gonna manage our Power BI desktop screen นะครับ So in this one, if you have seen just like the request to just like subscribe นะครับ you may just like subscribe to get just like some of just like the latest information. But if you don't want to do so, you just like click maybe later. Okay, and then just close the screen. Okay, now this is the initial screen of Microsoft Power BI. You will see one window popping up in front of the Microsoft Power BI desktop screen. In this one, on the left hand side, it just asks for the latest file that you open it up. If you notice from my one, you can see that it is the file that is ended with .pbix. So .pbix in here, this is Power BI. We call it as Power BI report file. Power BI report file. All the things that you created, the visualization, the data manipulation, it will be just like stored in a file called Power BI report file or .pbix. So that means if you would like to pass this file for other people to view it, you just send the report file, the .pbix file to them. But if you have like the data, if you have the data and you would like other people to just like edit this Power BI report file, you should also send the data file to them as well. Otherwise, they can just like view all the data. But if they want to edit, they cannot do it without just like sending that data file. So that means in our examination, if you just like have to submit, you see that I'll tell you to just also put the report file, including also the data file for submission as well. We'll talk about it later. So in this one, when we have seen the left-hand side, you also see get data. Get data means that if you have data from like other files, for example, if you have Excel, if you have just like some other kind of data, for example, if you have the online database file, you just choose get data to get the data, in order to just like create the new report file. Now, on the right hand side, the middle one and the right hand side, they are just like the tools in order to help us in order to share the file with other people. And on the right hand side, it is just like some of the forums that we just know about, like the Microsoft Power BI together with its just like additional features that Power BI may have on the latest version of it. Okay, and also the tutorial as well. All right. So in this one, if you just like don't want this screen, just close it. Just close it first, and then I'll just like suggest you for the next thing. Okay. So this is the Microsoft Power BI screen. This is Microsoft Power BI screen. One thing that I just like suggested to you is that you will see that on the top line, the title bar, the title bar of Power BI desktop screen, you can see a button sign in. Sign in this one, it helps you in order to save the file in your Microsoft OneDrive. If you don't want to save it, you may not sign in, but sometimes it just like pop upนะครับ it just pop up the dialog box to ask you to sign inนะครับ. so I mean if you have the Hotmail account or if you have Microsoft account you can sign in by using that account as well นะครับ or for us I mean all the MU community นะครับ we can just click sign in and then we can use like the Mahidol's email address นะครับ that ended with @mahidol.ac.th to sign in and then it will not ask you again to sign in with a pop-up screen นะครับ so when you just like enter that I mean email address it is just redirect you to MU login screen then you can just like log in by your email Mahidol email address and password นะครับ okay I'll just do it later on because I just want Microsoft Power BI to pop up something นะครับ so that I'll just like suggest to you next on okay cancel it first now let me just like introduce to you นะครับ what are inside Microsoft Power BI okay so in the Microsoft Power BI นะครับ on the top line it is the title bar in here you can see that the report file is called Untitled นะครับ we will just like rename it later on นะครับ top left corner is a diskette button screen sorry diskette button it's save button นะครับ if you click on it it will save your report file นะครับ the content in the report file now we still haven't got anything yet นะครับ I just like don't save it now okay so now let's talk about the menu bar นะครับ and the ribbons นะครับ for each menu if you go file นะครับ if you go to file menu นะครับ file menu it is just like to open the report นะครับ so on the left hand side นะครับ of this file menu นะครับ new is to new a report open report means that open the existing file that you have got นะครับ save is to save it as นะครับ I mean like if you would like to save it as other formats or if you want to save it as another file just choose save as นะครับ get data you can see that we have like two similar menus นะครับ that looks the same นะครับ the meaning are quite similar import and get data what are different get data means that if you have data file like from Excel file นะครับ and you want to just like use that data in this Power BI report file you choose get data while import นะครับ import is that when you would like to import the components นะครับ from other Power BI report file you use import นะครับ it's different นะครับ get data means that you have data sources and you want to get them like from Excel file you always use get data นะครับ okay like this if you choose get data it just asks you what type of data would you like to get from นะครับ like such as Excel workbook นะครับ or Power BI data sets that you prepared as a data set นะครับ data flow นะครับ so this one can be created from the commercial version นะครับ for the Microsoft Power BI like Power BI servers นะครับ that I explained to you on the last week นะครับ okay for SQL Server Database means that if you have the database นะครับ that has been stored in the server นะครับ one type is what we call the SQL Server Database in here you can get it Azure Analysis Service Database that is Microsoft database นะครับ that if you just like develop I mean like if your company or your organization develop the data into this kind of database you can get it from it นะครับ text/CSV that is another form of data that I'll show you later on นะครับ web นะครับ is that if you have a website นะครับ in this one I'll talk about it as well so for text CSV and web นะครับ these are like two more sources of data that I will introduce to you next on นะครับ so for all data feed blank query these are just like the new format of BI just in case that you have this kind of data นะครับ you can just get it from and also this one is a new one as well the template apps นะครับ that Power BI just created นะครับ okay now นะครับ these are like Power BI นะครับ if you import it นะครับ it's from Power BI template or other Power BI file that you created before and you want to use like the same source of data, you may just like use the import ways นะครับ but in this class we just like focusing in getting the data from like other sources of files like Excel, text file or web นะครับ in this one. All right, so this is the file menu for Power BI นะครับ and then let's move on to home menu นะครับ home menu for Power BI this is the ribbons for home menu. You can see that in here we have get data as well นะครับ that you can get data from various source นะครับ or you have like the shortcut instead of just like choosing get data and Excel workbook นะครับ it just like prepare for you for Excel workbook, Power BI datasets, SQL Server นะครับ or enter data manually or Dataverse นะครับ instead of just like clicking on this button and then choose from the list, you can just have like the shortcuts in here. And the next tool, this is important too นะครับ that we have to use in this class as well. In this one นะครับ you can see that we have a group called queries นะครับ queries in here นะครับ the official name of the transform data in the queries box here is what we call Power Query Editor นะครับ so whenever you see any handbook นะครับ any manual or any website referring to Power Query Editor นะครับ in order to access to it, you just go to home menu and click transform data นะครับ in here if you click on it you can see that it has transform data and data source setting นะครับ transform data is Power Query Editor that I'll talk about in next on, while data source setting means that if you change the location of the data source, for example, if your Power BI report file is kept นะครับ in the same folder as your data before นะครับ but today you just like move that data into another folder นะครับ whenever you would like to edit this Power BI file you have to go to data source setting and then change the mapping of that data source to the new place นะครับ or to the new location. I'll talk about it next on นะครับ this is Power Query Editor that you have to know. Power Query Editor is a new programs นะครับ in the Power Query Editors in the Power BI desktop set. That means once you just like go to Power Query Editor it open up นะครับ another program for you นะครับ that is linked directly นะครับ with Power BI นะครับ I'll talk about it next on. New visual means that if you would like to create the new chart, new visualization, you just click on there. Actually นะครับ the next one is text box. You can see that this one is a new visual. It just like create a pop-up box in here นะครับ actually this is a general visual. You can choose the type นะครับ of the visual on the right hand side. I'll explain to you later นะครับ okay. Text box means that if you would like to type something, for example, the name of the report, the name of the creator, you just click text box นะครับ and type in here. So that means when you show this report นะครับ to other people, they see that oh this one is created by this person นะครับ all right, okay. The next one, more visuals นะครับ. These are just like the additional visuals นะครับ that you can also just use it in this Power BI apart from the visualization นะครับ the standard visualization that Power BI has นะครับ if you remember on last week I told you that okay the reason why Microsoft just like separate Power BI from Excel is that Excel is quite limited in its visualization tools, like they have charts นะครับ that but those charts are just like the basic charts or graph. But in Power BI นะครับ it allows other companies, it allows other developers in order to create นะครับ the new visual นะครับ and put it in the stock นะครับ on the website so that other people can use it. Most of them นะครับ most of those visuals are free นะครับ but they also นะครับ Microsoft also just like open นะครับ the option for some companies นะครับ to develop their own visual นะครับ and if you purchase it those visuals นะครับ might be some files that you can just like choose from my files and then you can just open it there นะครับ so that means you may not just like search it from the market นะครับ that means once you buy those visuals นะครับ the developers may send you as a files in the email something like that or they may have some website for you to just download those visuals and then you just like click from my files to open it up. Okay, I'll talk about it later on. Next are the tools that important as well. These tools we call it as calculation tools. The calculation tools help us in Microsoft Power BI in order to manipulate some data that you would like to have. For example, if you would like to find some total value of something, or if you want to find some average values, or just like calculate something a bit, we can use measure in order to just like calculate those kind of values for you. I'll talk about it later on. So these are just like the tools that we have to use. For sensitivity, we don't use it in this class. Publish, we don't use it in this class because you have to just like use the version of Power BI server in order to just like use publish in order to just like share these reports to other companies, other people in the company. Okay. So in this one, this is the home menu. Next on is the insert menu. For the insert menu, these are just like the objects that we can add in our Power BI report file. New page means that you want to have like more sheets in this report or you would like to create new visuals new charts, something like that. You add from new visual here or we use just like the menu on the right hand side that I'll talk about later on. So these are just like the major things that we use in the insert menu and the modeling in here just to create the relationship. I'll talk about it next on. And the view, this is the view for your charts or your visual in order to just like set it up. Okay, we just use this menu. Okay, and the last one is help menu. Okay, this is the menu bar for Power BI. Okay. Underneath this menu, you can see that there are just like a screen, the part of the screen that shows you for the working screen for Microsoft Power BI. Left hand side, these are just like the mode of our report file that you would like to see. The first one, you can see that it looks like a chart icon. This one is called report view. If you click on report, everyone just try clicking it. Right now, there's nothing happen because you are on the report view already. The report view looks like this. Report view is the view that you can see just like the blank page in the middle. And you can just like add more visuals into this place, into this sheet or into this page. On the right hand side, it is the menu called visualization and fields and filters. So this is what we call report view. Now let's move on. The next view is called data view. Everyone just click on data view. You can see that right now you see the gray screen in the middle. In this one, because we haven't done anything with the data, we don't have any data in our report file yet. So that's why it's just a blank one. Same as the last button, this is what we call model view. If you click on model view, right now, you can see that it is just like the faded gray color in the middle. And it has just like boxes with the lines connected to each other here. This one is the model. Talk about the relationship of data that we have got in our Power BI report file. It talks about the properties of this relationship that we have got นะครับ okay so in this one you don't see anything right now นะครับ when you click there's nothing because you don't have any data inside your report file yet okay right and in this one นะครับ you can see that when you have like 3 different modes report sorry 3 different views report view data view or model view now we go back to our report view ครับ okay so on the report view นะครับ let's see what are they what are inside นะครับ let me just like clear out นะครับ the visual that I created that I don't want first okay so this one นะครับ you can see that in here it's the blank page in here so Power BI asks you that okay you don't have any data yet นะครับ right now so if you want to have it you just like import the data from different sources that we have got นะครับ okay or you can just use the menu นะครับ in order to get the data from different sources the same thing นะครับ but they just like put the shortcut in the middle of the screen for you instead okay so on the right hand side นะครับ there are 3 menus นะครับ that are filters นะครับ visualization and fields นะครับ filters นะครับ is the menu that you use in order to just like filter some data นะครับ to let the visual นะครับ in order to see just the data according to your filtering criteria the middle one is visualization นะครับ it is the menu that is used in order to let you choose different type of charts different type of visuals นะครับ to be displayed in the middle of Power BI report file screen on the right hand side it's the field นะครับ it's a field what does it mean field actually in Excel we call it as a column นะครับ but field in Microsoft Power BI นะครับ represents group of values นะครับ or the columns that is related นะครับ into this visual นะครับ so from now on นะครับ from now on I will call นะครับ each chart นะครับ that is displaying on Power BI report file as a visual นะครับ as a visual or a visualization it's the same thing นะครับ but Power BI use the short term as visual the next one in Power BI นะครับ I will talk about นะครับ a field that means the same thing as column that we have got นะครับ okay. When we get the data into our Power BI report file นะครับ you understand more and one thing that you have to know นะครับ when you have like the page in Power BI report file you can see that this is what we call a page นะครับ okay let me just like scope the page for you first the page is here ครับ this is just the area in a page only you cannot scroll up or down นะครับ so if you say that hey but it's not enough for me in order to create the visualization นะครับ what should I do ครับ sorry let me just like fix this one up a bit ครับ this is the area of a page ครับ the dotted line here okay so that means this one if you want to print it out นะครับ or if you want to make it as a PDF file นะครับ to send to like the organization or to the executive นะครับ in this just like red box only is the area that you can prepare the charts นะครับ or visuals if you have more than that what should we do you can see that you see page 1 right now right you can add page 2 page 3 page 4 as you want and then you can rename it as well so in each page it might just like show the visual นะครับ on just like maybe 1 or 2 or 3 visuals only นะครับ for example if you would like to create a dashboard you can use one page to show a dashboard but in other page you may use each page to show like the detail of each chart or each visual นะครับ in one page that is okay too when you have many pages in Power BI you can rename it easily นะครับ by just going to the tab of that page นะครับ double click and then rename it นะครับ as you want นะครับ suppose I say that this is overview นะครับ something like this something like this นะครับ you can rename it as you want right so when you just like get the ideas of like what are the components นะครับ in the Microsoft Power BI already นะครับ now we are going to just like start working with the Microsoft Power BI นะครับ so firstly you have to know that in order to use Microsoft Power BI นะครับ where is the source of data then you have to think about it first and when you just like get those kind of data into Power BI already if you are quite new to Power BI you may have to try different visuals นะครับ first on Power BI and check whether it fits with your data or not นะครับ but if you are the expert in Power BI in the future already นะครับ you may know that oh for this kind of data I'll use this visual in order to be displayed นะครับ okay we'll talk about it next on okay now let me just like prepare the file นะครับ in e-learning for you นะครับ just give me a minute I'll just like enable that file for you นะครับ on e-learning okay so everyone ครับ please log in into e-learning you should see a section called Power BI it's under Excel exercises นะครับ in here in here currently you see sales order Excel file นะครับ with just like many more Excel files in here actually นะครับ in sales order Excel file it consists of 7 tabs นะครับ 7 tabs or 7 worksheets inside นะครับ inside there are employee suppliers and so on worksheet นะครับ they are the same actually they are the same content but I just like want you to try on different format of getting those data first นะครับ so everyone right now I want you to download sales order Excel file into your computer ครับ and then open it up นะครับ and then open it up I'll explain the data in this file first okay all right so this is the ABC sales for Power BI file นะครับ okay I move on to the first worksheet นะครับ called orders so assume that we are the analyst of ABC company นะครับ so these are just like the data from our sales นะครับ in this company นะครับ so the first worksheet is called orders worksheet นะครับ this one is about the sales transaction for this worksheet it stores the information นะครับ for the sales of the company including order ID customer ID employee ID นะครับ for customer ID and employee ID that means customer ID means นะครับ the customer who purchased this product employee ID is the sales representative who sell that product นะครับ to this customer นะครับ and then we have order date required date and ship date order date and required order date means that the day นะครับ the date that our customer ordered this sales order required date means the date that the customer wants this product นะครับ when they order they may tell our sales representative that oh I want this product by the next 2 days I want this product by the next 2 weeks something like that and the ship date means that which date that we ship the product out to our company so in this company นะครับ assume that we ship the product worldwide so it takes some time นะครับ in order to deliver the products to the customer for example the ship date for the first order นะครับ was from 1607 นะครับ of year 96 but the required date is the 1st of August. You can see that it is almost half a month in order to ship for sure. You can guess that this one they ship through the boat นะครับ they don't ship through the airplane นะครับ or on the truck for sure because it is just like 15 days for delivery. And ship address here means that the location that our customer would like us to ship the product to นะครับ you have to be careful นะครับ in the reality when we talk about the ship product นะครับ and customer นะครับ the ship product and the customer might be different places. I mean, like for example, in this first record นะครับ order ID 10248 the customer would like us to ship at in France, but the location of our customer office might not be in France. They might be located in Germany, something like that. So that means when you read, you have to understand clearly what does it mean by ship address full or ship address, because somebody assume that ship address is the same location as the company of your customers located นะครับ What's wrong with it? Why do we have to tell you like this? Sometimes นะครับ if you say that you would like to create a visualization นะครับ for seeing the sales นะครับ to each company you might want to just create a visualization that which country order the product to you most. You can see that in here the product is ordered by this customer นะครับ and I told you already that this customer's company is located in Germany, not in France. So that means if you would like to see the chart to display นะครับ the orders from each country นะครับ then you have to think first whether you would like to choose ship address or whether you would like to use the address of your customer to show this answer นะครับ then you have to think. All right, next นะครับ the next worksheet is called order details. You can see that in the orders worksheet here you don't know what products that has been ordered in each order. Like for example 10248 you don't know what are the products that the customer ordered from you. Then you have to go to orders detail. In the order detail it tells us the order ID, product ID, unit price, quantity, and discount. Let me give you one example นะครับ The first example I want to show you is order ID 10248 นะครับ okay. The order ID 10248 has the content in here นะครับ This order นะครับ has 3 different products. Product number 11, 42, and 72. The price of each product is different. Product 11 has a unit price $14. Product 42 has a unit price for $9.80. And product 72 has the price per unit as $34.80. And these are different quantities of each product that has been ordered, that was ordered in this order ID 10248. And these are just like the discount for each product that the customer received from this order. Okay, you can see that when we see orders detail, we still don't know นะครับ that what does product 11 means นะครับ and so on with like product 42 and 72. Apart from that one, if you go back to the order table or orders worksheet, you can see that the customer ID for 10248 order ID is WILMK. You don't know who WILMK is because in this one it shows just customer ID. But if you go to customers table นะครับ if you sorry customer worksheet you can see that in the customer worksheet if you filter WILK this one นะครับ this customer is Wilman Kala Company นะครับ this company has the contact person that is Matti Kartunen he is owner and marketing assistant as well countries in Finland so in this one you have to use orders table together with customers table to find out who is that customer in here apart from that one when you go to orders detail you know just product ID but you don't know what product it is for 11 for 42 and for 72 then you have to use product table in order to locate that product so for example product number 11 is queso cabrales นะครับ queso cabrales in here นะครับ so apart from that one what else นะครับ apart from the product in here you can see that for the product worksheet it shows product ID product name supplier ID category ID นะครับ supplier ID means that okay we our ABC company has to order these products from the supplier as well in here it shows supplier ID นะครับ that we order the product from you can see that we don't know who is that supplier ID so then you can just like expect that we need to have a supplier worksheet that will clarify who supplier ID number 1 2 3 4 and so on are the next one category ID category ID here might mean นะครับ in this case it might mean that okay our product has been grouped นะครับ or has been classified into different categories then in this example in this worksheet you can see that category we have 1 2 4 7 8 5 3 something like that so it must be like some explanation so it should be stored somewhere นะครับ and then we have quantity per unit price per unit price unit in stock นะครับ units on order and reorder level นะครับ let me explain to you first what does it mean unit in stock means that okay our stock นะครับ how many items นะครับ or how many units of this product do we have so that means in this product we said that per unit นะครับ it is 10 boxes times 20 bags so that means okay the quantity นะครับ in one unit it is 10 box so unit in stock we have 39 that means we have 39 boxes when the customer has to order when they order one it means that they order 10 box in here นะครับ units on order means that okay right now it is 0 it means that right now do we have any customers who are ordering this product or not นะครับ okay and reorder level นะครับ reorder level means that if this product นะครับ is lower into this level we have to order that product immediately นะครับ we call it as reorder level for example if you see product ID number 2 Shang นะครับ in here for the Shang product you can see that the unit in stock is 17 นะครับ reorder level นะครับ is 25 that means right now this product is lower than the reorder level already 17 is less than 25 right so it's the time to reorder this product but you can see that for Chai currently the unit in stock is 39 but reorder level is 10 so that means you still have like a lot more in the stock. You don't need to reorder like right now. Why do we have to consider about reorder level? Because if you don't consider about it, and if the product is dropped to be lower than the reorder level already, then it may take some time before the supplier fill up the stock for us. Let's imagine that if you go to 7-Eleven, and then you would like to you would like to buy a bottle of milk in the fridge, but they don't have anything in there. So that means, okay, some customer who want to buy the cold milk, they cannot buy it because it doesn't have in the 7-Eleven. So that's why, in order to help solving this one, we need to have the reorder level to help, especially for some products that need to have some time to deliver. For example, if your company is a manufacturing company and you produce milk, in order to produce the milk, let's imagine that, okay, if you produce the milk and you put them in the box, like the UHT milk that you purchase, you can see that normally, the companies who produce milk will not produce the box by themselves. They order from their suppliers, and these those boxes, they need to print something, outside the boxes as well. For example, the brand of your product and the design of that box depends on just like what flavor that you order. So these kind of products like boxes, it takes some time. For example, the supplier might say that, okay, you have to order the box around 2 weeks before you want it, because they need to print it. They need to just like order some raw materials to produce the box, and also print it, and then deliver it to you. For the total process, it takes around 15 days, let's say. So in that case, you have to know that your spare boxes must be enough for 2 weeks. Otherwise, if the box is out of stock, it means that on one day that you want to produce this milk, you cannot do it because you don't have any container to store your milk. So that's why reorder level is important. For example, if you know that, okay, normally you can produce, let's say, 10,000 boxes per day, and you can see that for the the time, they call it as lead time that you have to order, it takes around 15 days to order, and then you get that stock of boxes coming to your company. So that means in those 15 days, you can produce 150,000 boxes of milk. That means the reorder level is 150,000, or you may have to add one more day, just to spare. So that means it might be 160,000 boxes is the reorder level. It means that if the stock of boxes is dropped lower than 160,000 boxes already, you have to reorder straight away. Otherwise, it will be just like danger zone that you may have to you may not be able to produce the milk because you are running out of the boxes. So this is the meaning of the reorder level that we need to have. For discontinue is the flag to tell us that, okay, this product, we no longer produce it, or we no longer order it. You can see that, okay, let me just give you an example in here. For false means that it's not discontinued. That means we are still selling that product. But if it's true, means that these stocks, these products, we don't order it anymore. For example, Chef Anton's Gumbo Mix, we don't order it anymore. So the discontinue flag is true. That means when the customer would like to order this, and if this continue flag is true, you have the sales representative will tell the customer that sorry, this product we don't order to it anymore because the supplier may just like stop producing this product, or it might be like from other reasons. For example, we have some substitute product already, and so that's why we don't order this product for you anymore, something like that นะครับ this is the discontinue flag. The next one, categories. You can see that in here นะครับ the product worksheet, it has a column called category ID. So that comes to the categories the categories worksheet. You can see that categories worksheet, it consists of just like 3 columns. 3 columns. They are just category ID, category name, and description of it. The next one, suppliers. You can see that for the product, we have supplier ID, right? So supplier ID can be explained in the supplier worksheet. Consists of supplier ID, company name, and country. Lastly, employees. Employees or sales representative that we have got. For example, like this one, in order worksheet, you have the employee ID here. It just tells us that okay, what employee ID or what sales person's ID sold this product. You can find it here. This is employee ID, last name, first name of that person, title of that person or position of that person, title of courtesy, okay, birth date, hire date, report to. Report to means that okay, who that who is the person that this employee has to report to. For example, you can see that reports to, they have 2 and 5 and blank. What are they? Reports to 2 means that the people who has to report to 2 means that they have to report to Andrew Fuller. Reports to means that okay, this is the employee ID that you have to report to. So you can see that anyone who reports to means that they report to Andrew Fuller, who is the vice president in sales of the company. For anyone who has to report to 5, means that those people has to report to Stephen Buchanan, who is sales manager. And you can see that reports to no one. Means that that position must be high enough, so he or she does not need to report to other people. Like in this one, Andrew Fuller, he is vice president in sales, so he does not need to report his sales to other people in here, right? So these are just like the data that we have got. It means that when we have the data like this, some of you may say that why do they have to scatter our data into like different worksheets like this? This is the standard for all the data in the database in the world. They have to separate the data like this. Why is that? Let me just give you an example. You can see that if I say that okay, the order, okay, let me just see the filter the data a bit. Okay, so you can see that these orders were sold by sales ID or employee ID number 5. Let's see what will happen. Suppose I say that okay, sales number 5 is Buchanan. That means there will be a lot of Buchanans in here. What is different between having 5 and Buchanan? You can see that if you keep just number 5 in each record, you can see that we don't just like store much data. because if we say that we just keep 5, it is 1 byte. In this one, you can see that because count is 42, you just keep with 42 bytes for 42 records when Buchanan sold the product for us. But if you just like have to store his name, Buchanan, it's 8 bytes. So you have to keep 8 times 42, that is 336 bytes versus 42 bytes. You can see that the first way, you use like less storage to store the data. And you can see that when we have seen the same data, same piece of data happen in the worksheet like this, we call this problem as redundancy. Redundancy problems. So that's why we try to minimize the data redundancy by just like separating some of duplicate data out to be in another worksheet. In this one, you can see that we keep Buchanan and his information into another worksheet called employees. So in the order table, we have just number 5 or the sales ID only. Same as what you can see that for the product. You can see the product. For the product, it's more complicated than just more redundant of the data than just like the sales ID, because product ID number 11 here is queso cabrales in here. If you just say that, okay, you keep instead of product ID, you keep the product name. You can see that in here, lots of people order queso cabrales. It takes a lot of hard drive space. Also, when you process, it just like use a lot of memory space as well. So that's why in the real world, they don't keep the product ID in the same just like order like that in the database, but they will separate the data like the product information in another worksheet as just a product only, while they just keep what we call the key inside the orders detail table, so that when we just want to see the orders detail, we see just the number 11. If you ask me that, is 11 redundant? Yes, it looks redundant, but when you compare with the previous example, queso cabrales is more redundant than number 11. So that's why we just keep the product ID instead of product name. That's the reason why we have to separate these fields away apart from each other. But you can see that when the human being has to process this data manually, it is not easy. Why is that? If you remember, we studied for VLOOKUP already. You know that, okay, I want to just like see that who is that customer. The things that you may have to do is that you go to do the VLOOKUP for the customer here. Let me just see. Okay. You said that, oh, it's easy. I studied already for VLOOKUP. You say that for customer name, we just use VLOOKUP from this one, and then go to customer table. In order to get the list of the customer. You can see that you will take a lot of time in order to get this value to be filled. You have to go to employee name as well in order to get this one. Then you go to orders detail in order to get the product name. You have to go to product to see supplier ID, to look up supplier ID, and so on. It wastes a lot of time. So that's why Power BI tries to help you in order to manage this situation. If you use the Power BI to get this data, you don't need to just like look up the data manually. to let them be shown in your visual นะครับ because Power BI will link all of this one in their data model and then when you link when Power BI link it for you already if you say that okay for example if you want to know that okay how many orders that order queso clavares นะครับ and how many items that queso clavares has been ordered นะครับ or was ordered in our company then Power BI desktop will link everything together and show you that okay this is the chart to show the sales of queso clavares and then if you say that I want to know the year 1996 how much นะครับ or how many items that queso clavares were sold นะครับ Power BI will just like show you in the visual straight away okay so this is the thing that Power BI can help managing this okay now let's see for managing the data here you have to get the data นะครับ into Power BI first นะครับ okay let me just like close this Excel file I don't save anything นะครับ okay right okay now let me go back to the Power BI นะครับ in Power BI here if you want to get the data you have to know first what type of data do you get or do you have I'm sorry so in this one you know that our file is Microsoft Excel right our file is Microsoft Excel in this one okay let me just share my screen okay if you have a look this is the file this one is Microsoft Excel worksheet so when you know that oh this is Microsoft Excel worksheet then you just like use this data file you get this data that is getting the data from Excel how to get the data from Excel we have various places that you can get it the first one we go to home menu choose get data and then choose Excel workbook or you can see that on the right hand side of get data you have Excel workbook you can click here or you can click import data from Excel it's the same thing these three different places or somebody say that can I click file menu and choose get data Excel workbook the same you can get them from different places okay now if I just choose import data from Excel or get data from Excel workbook now you just choose the ABC sales for Power BI file that we have got click open now let me tell you if your Microsoft Excel has many worksheets Power BI will pop up the navigator window for you here and shows list of worksheets on the left hand side so it also has suggested tables here but in here I don't recommend you to use this one because Power BI doesn't know the details of the data it just like assume that okay these two tables like orders and products seems to be the table that are rich of information that's why they suggest for you then don't use this one the things that you have to consider is the list of the data in the worksheet you have to consider them by yourself okay so in this one we will see once you click on the line with the name of the worksheet like this I click on categories on the right hand side it shows the preview of the data in this worksheet for you same as customer employees and so on you can just like see the preview first whether they are the table or whether they are the worksheet that you want to get the data from or not if you say that oh actually these are just like the worksheet that I would like to get suppose you just like choose 3 worksheet first and then you just like realize that hey I forgot actually there must be like some other worksheets you can get them later but in this one we just like get them all of them first you choose all of this worksheet ครับ so on the right hand side นะครับ underneath the preview you see 3 buttons load transform data and cancel นะครับ so let me explain to you for load and transform data what are different. Load means that you load this data straight away into Power BI report file. While transform data will be used only when you found that some of the data in your Excel or in your data source that you download looks like strange and then you have to fix it. So firstly, assume that we don't know anything. You click load,นะครับ. Then you have to take some time when it's just like processing นะครับ and load the data into your Power BI report file. So right now นะครับ the Power BI report file will have like the data inside the Power BI report file as well นะครับ. In this one, okay, it's finished loading the data for us already. How do I know that it's finished? You can see that right now นะครับ right now on the right hand side right now we are at the report view, right? In here you can see that you see the yellow bar here นะครับ that means we are on the report view. Right now on this report view, right hand side you see list of worksheets categories down to suppliers. In Microsoft Excel นะครับ we call these names นะครับ or these objects as worksheets, right? But in Power BI นะครับ we will name it as table ครับ we name it as table. So that means right now we import or we get 7 tables into our Power BI report file นะครับ. So now because it shows list of the tables in the field list already, so that's why I know that we get all of these tables already. Now we will see the content inside นะครับ so make sure that when you get the table into your Power BI you have to see them first นะครับ in the table view to make sure that everything that you get into Power BI is successfully imported. Then I go to data view นะครับ I click on data view ครับ so in this one นะครับ you can see that on my one it's showing category table นะครับ how do I know that this is category table? You just like have a look on the right hand side ครับ it is a field list and the gray bar is on categories. So right now it's on category table นะครับ next one is customers. You can click on each table to show the content นะครับ where the data is getting here, right? So now I want you to see something. We will check นะครับ we have to check the content of each table before you start doing anything นะครับ you have to do it. Then make sure that if you haven't checked you cannot just start creating any visualization นะครับ in the report view, otherwise it will be wrong. Now let's start with categories. When you go to categories table, what do we have to check? First นะครับ is your headings นะครับ the headings of each column นะครับ so for example right now in categories table we have 3 columns. From now on นะครับ in Power BI column will be called as field นะครับ in this one categories table consists of 3 columns or 3 fields นะครับ the heading of the fields are category ID, category name and description. Yeah, this is correct นะครับ if you scan through you can see that right now Power BI get the category ID นะครับ as number. How do I know that it's number? If you remember on Excel I told you that Once you just have the data and it's right aligned by itself, they are numbers, right? But if they are left aligned, that means the text. You can see that category name and description, they are left aligned. So these two fields are text. Okay. So this is just like the basic checking of me. Then we move on to customer. For customer, this one is strange. If you have a look on this table, see on the headings, they don't have the correct heading. You can compare with the categories that we had: category ID, category name, blah, blah, blah. But in the customer table right now, you have column 1, column 2, column 3, 4, 5. There are 5 columns, but the column headings are wrong. What is that? What happened? If you have a look, the correct headings go to be the content of the table instead. You can see that customer ID, company name, and so on is pushed down to be the table, the data in this table. So this one is wrong. The things you have to do is that fix it. You have to fix this table. Otherwise, you cannot use this Power BI report file to visualize your data, because this customer table doesn't have the proper headings, and the content is wrong. You can see that record number 1 shouldn't have the customer ID as the data. It should be the column name instead, and the column name it is column 1, column 5 that are improper as well. So in here, when it's, I'll fix it later, just to point out for you that okay, this is wrong. Now let's move on to the next table, employees, everyone. So everyone, you just like check on your data as well, Sometimes your importing one might just like be different from me. Theoretically, everything should be the same because you get the data from the same file. But it might be possible that you just like do something like accidentally press some buttons to add some data or rename some field or values. And then it might just like cost in getting the data to be different from my one. You can see that for the employees table here, they are okay. We have the correct or the proper headings. The contents are okay too. They look okay too. Employee ID is number. The rest of them are text. Birth date and hire date. You can see that in the original data, it shows 8, 12 something. Now it shows as like in this one, it shows as in Thai language because it's of the setting of my computer. I set the date to be displayed like this. In this one, if you want to change, you have to just like change at the setting of your computer. So here it shows just like the proper date for me already. Okay. And okay, the reports too, it is number. Yeah, this is what I want. For the format of the cells, we can change it later on. Or data type, if the data is correct, but it's just like showing the wrong type. For example, if you want employee ID to be text, you can change it later on. Okay. Next, we move on to order. For orders, you can see that heading, it looks strange. How come that just only the first column has, or the first field has the name of the field to be sales orders ABC company, but the rest of them are column 2 to column 7. In here, I can tell you that all of them are wrong. The first column or the first field should be sales order, not sales order ABC company. That means right now the headings are wrong. If it's wrong like this, I can anticipate that the correct heading might be moved to be like a kind of data in this table for sure, or it might be missing somewhere, anyhow. So let me just like see, I see the filter here. Yeah, you can see that, okay, there is a record that it has a content that called order ID. Now let me check. See, the proper headers become one row or one record of data here. You have to fix it in here. Don't leave them like that. Okay. Now, okay, let me just clear out first. So when orders table has to be fixed, let's move on to the next table. Orders detail. For order detail table, this one looks good. The headers are order ID, product ID, unit price, quantity, and discount. Yeah, this is okay. The headers are okay. And data type, everything in this table seems to be numbers. Yeah, this is okay, not bad. Now let's move on to product table. Once again, product table has a problem because the product table here, the headers are wrong. You see that? The first row is blank. Second row should be the headers of this table, but it's pushed down to be just a record of data in here. So we have to fix this problem. We have to fix this problem. Apart from that one, if you have a look on data type, right now, product ID is text, supplier ID is text, category ID is text, unit price, unit in stock, unit on order, reorder levels, they are text. That are wrong. Unit price, unit in stock, unit on order, reorder level, they must be number. Otherwise, you cannot calculate anything. Then we will have to fix the data type of these columns or these fields. Okay, so we have to fix this table as well. Lastly, we go to supplier table. It consists of 3 fields: supplier ID, company name, country. Okay, no problem. That looks fine. Supplier ID is number right now. Okay, this is what I want. So right now you see that, okay, there are many tables that still have the problem that we have to fix them. So what are we going to do? How to fix this problem? We have 2 different ways to fix. The first one, the problems might be caused by the original data. For example, in this one, if you have a look in the customers table, let me show you the customer table in my Excel file, how this worksheet look like. Customer here. In this one, it seems that, okay, in my Power BI, sorry, in my Excel, there's nothing wrong. But it is possible that it might just like get the data and then has some problems. It might be possible like this. What else? The order, hang on. The product table here. If you have a look, product table, because we have some headings like this, some 2 lines to be the heading of this worksheet. That's why they come before our original data in Power BI. So that's why it pushed down the headers to become just a record of data. So this one, somebody said, okay, I'll delete these 2 rows and then I get this data once again. That might be one way, but we have a better way to solve. That I'll talk about it later. Okay. So in this one, you can see that for orders table, orders table, that is wrong too. If you have a look in your Excel file, because we have the heading of the report here, sales order ABC company. So that's why it becomes the header of the table to be sales order ABC company, column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, and so on. Here, right? Somebody may decide to delete this row out and then just get the data once again. That is the first way to fix. Otherwise, you can use Power BI in order to fix this problem by itself. Okay, right. Before I talk about like fixing the problems that we found on this data, do we have any questions, anyone, about just like this part that I introduced to you and the problem that we found? Okay, so if you don't have any problem right now, we go to see how to fix the problem in Power BI. As I told you earlier, Power BI has a tool that is another programs in the Power BI desktop. We call it as Power Query Editor. Power Query Editor. In this one, the new version of Power BI call this one as Transform Data. Same thing. Power Query Editor or Transform Data is the same thing. Where is it? You can go to Home tab, and then you see Transform Data. It's here. You click Transform Data, everyone. Go to Home menu, Transform Data, and then click Transform Data. Then Power BI will open up another program for you. This one we call it as Power Query Editor. Power Query Editor, the one that I told you. And why do I call it as two programs? Because if you have a look on the Power BI icons, right now you have two screens. One is Power BI Desktop. The other one is Power Query Editor. If you go to Power BI Desktop, this is Power BI Desktop screen, and Power Query Editor in this screen. So right now, if you open up Power Query Editor, don't do anything or any changes in Power BI Desktop yet. You have to finish working with Power Query Editor and save the changes first before you go back to Power BI. Otherwise, you mess up the data. Okay. Right now, let me explain to you. For Power Query Editor, it consists of like many components that you have to know. The first one is the menu bar. We have Home, Transform, Add Column, View Tools, and Help. Majority, the majority of the tools that we have to use in this class is in the Home menu. That you can just like remove some columns, remove some rows, and then you can just split the columns. You can change the data type in here. The things that we have to use are in here most of the time. Now, let's see on the screen of the Power Query Editor. On the left-hand side, in Power Query Editor, it calls each table as query. So right now, we have three words already from worksheet in Excel. In Power BI, we call it as table. In Power Query Editor, we call it as a query. The same meaning, worksheet, table, query. In here, it tells us that in this Power BI data file that we get, we have altogether 7 queries or 7 tables. In the middle part of the screen, they have just like this one is the we call it as query as well. It's just like the command that is used to control this table. We don't use it in here. The things that we use is in the middle is the preview of your data that you have got. On the right hand side is the query setting. Query setting here, most of the time we use this one, apply steps. Apply steps means the action that you have done so far. Because Power Query Editor doesn't have undo button. You can see that it doesn't have undo, right? And if you try to just like see in any menus, you don't see undo. When you have to undo it, you have to just like do apply steps นะครับ that I'll talk about it next on. Next one นะครับ you can see that in the middle of the screen when it shows the data preview นะครับ it shows นะครับ column name together with data type. You can see that right now. You see 1 2 3 ABC นะครับ if the data type is 1 2 3 it is number. ABC that is text. You may change the data type as you want นะครับ by just clicking on that data type icon นะครับ in front of the column name here, and then you can change to be any data type that you want นะครับ in here. Okay, so now we have to go and find the error table นะครับ the table with the error. So categories table is okay. Customer here is not okay. Because there are two things that happen. First one, the column name is wrong. Second one, the real column name becomes the data in row number 1 like this. So how do we gonna fix this problem? If you want to fix this problem นะครับ there are a couple of ways to do that นะครับ there are a couple of ways to do that. So นะครับ the first thing that we have to do นะครับ okay, and this is just like the basic way that we usually use. You can see that because the position นะครับ of record number 1 or row number 1 นะครับ it should be the heading นะครับ it should be the heading instead นะครับ or it should be the headers instead. So in order to switch นะครับ in this one we use switching of the data of record number 1 to become the headers of this table. To just like switch this row or record number 1 to be the headings นะครับ you can go to home menu and then you see use first row as header button, right? Okay, use first row as header. So you just click use first row as header. So right now you can see that นะครับ from column 1 2 3 4 5 it will become just like the correct headers already. You have customer ID, company name, contact name, and so on นะครับ so if you know that first row should be the column name, then you just like go to choose home menu and click use first row as header นะครับ use first row as header นะครับ in here, and then it just like switch for you immediately. So now what would I like you to see after you get the correct headers already นะครับ just notice on the right hand side this one ครับ promoted headers. This step happened because if you remember before that we didn't have promoted headers นะครับ promoted headers here means that you just like do something in order to have the new headers. That's why we call it as promoted headers. These are just like the things that you have to know นะครับ it just happened นะครับ new step will be created when you just like do something นะครับ with these queries. So promoted headers happen นะครับ when you just like choose use first row as header. Sometimes you do something wrong ครับ for example if you accidentally click use first row as headers again, so you can see that right now my one is wrong already. Every column name has a wrong headers because I accidentally choose my first row to become the headers here. How can I undo it? And I told you that we don't have undo in Power Query Editor. In order to undo it นะครับ you can see that here, you see it has promoted headers 1, right, and change type 2. The process นะครับ or the step that you have done will be created นะครับ from top to bottom. That means if you have to undo, you have to cancel each step from what to say, bottom up like this. So that means we have to do thisครับ. We have to cancel the step that happenedนะครับ until this part. So you have to eliminate these two steps outนะครับ. And as I told you, you have to do it bottom upนะครับ. So you can't just like start from promote headers 1. You have to clear change type 2 first and promoted headers 1 out. Okay, so let's do it togetherนะครับ. Just like make this data happen to just like make the headers to be wrong like this, and then we fix the problem. So the first stepนะครับ, you go to change type 2 in here and you see cross button, right? Click cross button up. It's deleted already. Now you click promoted header 1 out. So you can see that right now we have the customer ID, customer name, contact number, contact name, and so on back already. But right now, if you accidentally delete that one out, this one is just come back to the first error that we have before we did anythingนะครับ. In this one, you can see that customer ID and customer name and so on are in the first row. Then you have to go back and do it again by going to home menu and choose use first row as headersนะครับ. So you can see that there will be the step of promoted headers and change type 1 นะครับ in the apply step. So in this oneนะครับ, I can tell you that when I just like would like to check whether you do it correctly or notนะครับ, I'll come into Power Query Editor and check in the apply steps for what you have done. So I know immediately that, okay, for exampleนะครับ, I can tell you that in the exam it will be like this. I'll tell you that, okay, change the dataนะครับ, or change the headersนะครับof this table by using Power Query Editor. Some students just like go to Excel and delete that row outนะครับ, and then before you get the data into Power BI, so you will not have the steps in promoted headers and change typeนะครับ. That part you miss the score. So if I say that do it by using Power Query Editorนะครับ, then you just like do it here. Okay, right. So when we have this tableนะครับ, that is the correct one alreadyนะครับ. Let's move on to the next tableครับ. That is the wrong one. You can see that for the orders tableนะครับ, same thingครับ. Okay, so everyone, I want you to spend a couple of minutesนะครับ, to fix orders tableนะครับ, and product table for me. Orders table and product table, they are still wrongนะครับ. Make it right first. Okay, order table and product table. Okay, fix the problem for these two table for meครับ. I give you 3 minutesนะครับ, before I show you how you're gonna do. Okay, so right nowนะครับ, I'll fix the problem for orders table and product table. Now you can see that for the orders tableนะครับ, the same problem as the previous table that we had before. You can see that order the headersนะครับ, the correct headers are on row number 1, while the current headers are wrong. The things that I have to do is that I go to home menu and then choose use first row as header to switch the real header to be on the headers instead, and the correct headers are on row number 1 here. Then I can use first row as headers instead. I click use first row as headers. Now you can see that the headers are correct already, and then I have a step that is called promoted headersนะครับ, and change type 1 come inนะครับ. Okay, now I have to fix the problem for product table. For product table, there are 2 different ways in order to fix the problem, because right now you can see that the headersนะครับ, are wrong. But if I have to use the first row as headers, so the first row is null row. There's nothing here นะครับ so if I want to use the same old way in order to fix I have to just like click use first row as header twice นะครับ this one is the first way to fix so the first one is still wrong นะครับ I click use first row as headers again now I get the correct one already นะครับ so this one you see promoted headers 1 and 2 twice นะครับ okay I just like cancel it first that is the first way so the second way somebody said that they will delete the first row out because there's no data that they want นะครับ in here so in order to clear this row นะครับ or delete this row you can go to home menu go to reduce row group and choose remove row นะครับ in this one you choose remove top rows นะครับ go to home menu นะครับ reduce rows and then remove rows then you choose remove top rows it will ask you that how many rows would you like to delete or remove I say that I don't want just the first row I choose one row only then I click OK นะครับ now first row should be our headers then I choose use first row as headers then the problem is fixed already นะครับ this is second way to do I remove the top row first and then I just like use the first row as headers นะครับ to get the correct one okay so นะครับ this is solution for this one up to this point do you have any questions ครับ anyone right if you don't have any question นะครับ you cannot close this screen นะครับ because otherwise you lost everything that you did the things that you have to do is that you have to click close and apply ครับ click close and apply so that you can go back to Power BI นะครับ and everything will be saved นะครับ but if you just like click close like this it will ask you for confirmation if you don't save it everything that you did for changing the headers will be cancelled นะครับ now I choose close and apply and then right now นะครับ the problem is fixing in your Power BI นะครับ so right now if you have a look in every single table we get what we want already นะครับ all the headers are correct but when you have the data like this it doesn't mean that that is all the data นะครับ is clean enough you may have to do something else as well that I'll introduce to you on Wednesday's class นะครับ all right so if you don't have any questions นะครับ before we finish the class you have to save this file first okay so click save button นะครับ or you can click file save the same thing นะครับ then it asks you นะครับ the name and the location that you would like to save in this one you name your file as abc sales นะครับ abc sales report นะครับ abc sales report and then you click save ครับ now your report file is saved already นะครับ if you have a look นะครับ you can see that in here ครับ you see the ABC sales report that is Microsoft Power BI desktop document นะครับ this is what we want okay right and after that you can close your Power BI program นะครับ right okay นะครับ this is our Power BI file that we created นะครับ the report file that we created